Screen.
Oh, it just sent on your WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay, right, there we go. We're going live. Thank you all, and thank you all for joining this latest webinar in our lockdown series, although the industry is not locked down so much. Sadly, the events industry is, and so if you're watching on Facebook, you'll see there's a little red light icon, which is all about our campaign to improve the live events industry, just in case you were wondering. So what we are doing today is discussing spas and how they've reopened and how some unfortunately still have not. So I'd like to first do a little bit of housekeeping with the participants on the webinar. We have the chat area. Do please say hello on the chat area. Give us a wave, give us a shout, just say hi, tell us how you're feeling. If you have a question, if you could put it in the Q&A area, the tab is at the bottom of your screen. Otherwise, if you put the question in the chat area, it can get lost, depending on how excited you all get. We are also streaming on Facebook Live, so if you're on Facebook and you have a query or two, please pop it on the Facebook comments section and one of the team will relay those questions to us. So without further ado, as they say, I'd like to welcome the panel. We have Tanya Lopez, manager of the Saxon Spa at the Saxon Villas and Hotel. Ayesha Rajah, who's the owner of Urban Bliss Spa. And Engela Lanie Meiring from the All Wellness Spa. And of course myself, Phil Woods from Professional Beauty. So, ladies, I've got a series of questions I'd like to ask you, and maybe you can in turn, I'll ask each of you to comment on each of those, and obviously any questions we have in the chat area. So do please say hi in the chat area as well, and let's see how we go. Hello, Peter. Good. Hope the weather's nice in Cape Town. So, Tanya, let's start with you because you're unfortunately not yet open. And what are you doing about that? Are you, I mean, I understand, I assume this is because the hotel is not open. How's life there?
Okay, so the decision hotel management has decided to take is obviously we offer a very luxury service. So if we're unable to offer our full experience, then we would rather remain shut. We are using this time as an opportunity to upgrade certain parts of the hotel that logistically sometimes is very difficult to shut down. So it's a perfect opportunity to do that. We also upgrading a lot of our technology within the rooms, etc., etc. So that's how we're using our time. Yeah, so it gives us time to work on things that we wouldn't otherwise have time to work on operationally. So that's the stance we've taken.
Okay, so the hotel isn't open. I know some hotels are open, but with limited occupancy. Is that the reason the Saxon isn't opening, or is there another?
So the view is that we'll only open once we're able to take on leisure and obviously serve our full offering. If you look at the spa specifically as well, at the moment, it's kind of, we would only be able to operate on a salon sort of experience for the guests, so facilities would not be open, etc. So for us, being on the premium side, we would be unable to offer the guests the full luxury that they accustomed to. Until that changes, you know, and all our outlets are able to be operational to their normal capacity, then we'll remain closed. Obviously, we will still have to operate within social distancing, etc. So, you know, once we do open, we'll only open with the main hotel, and the villas will remain closed for the time being.
Okay. And have you had any hints of when tourism for the consumer, leisure tourism might be available?
The dates or the time changes quite significantly. So anything, we're hoping to open around October, but we can't say for sure. You know, once there's a decision that has been made, then obviously we'll release that to the public and our guests.
Yeah, tough. I remember the last time we spoke, you had a full diary of bookings for whenever you would be open. That continuing.
Look, it is somewhat reassuring that you know, we on a daily basis we get quite a lot of calls, people trying to book in groups, funnily enough, as well, which is not going to be something that we're going to be able to do. So that is reassuring. That there's still an interest. I think guests are just wanting normality. And the feedback I've had from a lot of my colleagues in the industry that have opened from a spa capacity, especially hotel spas, is they have been thankfully quite busy. On the other end, from a salon perspective, from other colleagues, they have found that there are bookings made, but then a lot of cancellations last minute, which is a difficult one because you can't charge for it because either they've been exposed or, you know, they're not feeling so great and then they're worried. And obviously we have to be conscious of that and thoughtful of that as well.
Okay. Engela, your first time on a Pro Beauty webinar. How has it been for you? Your spa's open, correct?
That is correct. We opened them in the beginning of July, and we find that there is definitely a lot of interest. July, we unfortunately were about 25% down from 2019. But taking everything into consideration, I don't think it is too bad, just with a 25% decrease in people coming to the spa.
Okay. And with your services, have you are you running a reduced selection of services, or is it full menu for the clients?
We do most of our services. Unfortunately, our larger groups, we have to limit them to only 6 people at a time. And then also we make sure that there's no other guests at the time. So it is unfortunately that we can't take in the full amount of people that we used to take into the spa. With regards to the menu, we do most of our treatments with precautions. So it's quite getting used to doing it differently than what we used to do it before COVID.
Okay. Ayesha, how's it been with you?
Hi, everyone. It's been quite an interesting roller coaster, I would say. That's the only way I can describe it. The first week we opened, that weekend, we had a bridal package booked. There were 7 of them, which we put on our pool deck and did full social distancing. They wouldn't leave the spa. We eventually had to say, I'm so sorry, but we are closed now. You know, they had such a good time. They brought in their own food, they brought in their own drink, their own crockery, their own cutlery. And I just feel that from an emotional wellness point of view, I think it was such an upliftment for that group that they have told us that they will book every 3 months with us. So that has been fantastic as an opening. But exactly what Tanya has said is that it's been up and down weekly. So, you know, 1 week we'll be very busy, and the next week we will have, you know, 3/4 of every day cancel. So what we've done is we've tried to mitigate a lot of cross-infection. So we've got 5 rooms available, and we have now said, especially now with the pandemic being at its peak, that we will only book a client a day per room. And I think that communication has worked better, because people then are more confident to come into a room, because for the 24 hours after them, nobody else is in the room, and we deep clean before and after. I did find that communication is key. I find that the way we communicate to our therapists, and with the way we also communicate to the consumers over all our digital marketing, I feel that we've instilled a lot of faith when you keep on sort of giving them the assurance that my therapists are trained, that we are, completely using PPE. And these are all the protocols around before you come in, while you're here, and after. So, but I can't lie. The last 2 weeks have been tough. We've had mass cancellations.
And these cancellations, are the reasons all due to fears about COVID, or are they other reasons?
So we've had COVID, and I've had a sore throat, or I think I have a cold and I'm not sure. And then we've said, we'd rather have you not come in if you don't mind. Can you wait the 7 days if you present symptoms, and can we rebook you for next week?
Okay. Is that the same for you, Engela?
We haven't had that many cancellations, but we also had to adjust our cancellation policy to accommodate people with symptoms, or people that are feeling unsure.
Yeah, I suppose it is difficult to penalise them if they're being socially responsible by letting you know. You don't want to suddenly
Correct,
stop
yes.
them. Yeah. Of course, for you, Tanya, this is going to be something that by the time you open might be not such an issue for you guys.
Yeah, well, we're hoping so, but we've prepared nonetheless for the worst case scenario, where we have to implement all measures. Yeah, we're hoping that it will be. What has been interesting is that I've been using the time as well to go and sort of see how other industries have opened up. The casinos, etc. And that's been quite interesting to see from a guest perspective, what the guest experience is like, and help me correct a lot of things that would annoy my guests, I think. So we have used that time to look around, which has been good as well.
Okay. For you, Engela, are there any issues with clients who have come to the spa that they don't want to wear the masks, or they don't understand quite what you're hoping that they will need to do to enjoy the experience?
We find that there's we find that there's 2 lines or 2 extremes. Some clients is extremely careless, and we need to remind them constantly, please use the sanitizer, please sanitize, wear your mask. And other clients is totally fanatically. Some clients prefer being massaged with gloves. We give them the option. And some clients say, please, don't use any gloves. So we're quite flexible as to make the client feel comfortable, still within taking precautionary measures.
Okay, and is that the same with you, Ayesha? The clients all, apart from the wedding party, who clearly had too much fun, we're going to be late for the wedding.
Exactly. So we've had most of our clients are compliant. We've had quite a few clients quite frantic. I was on a phone call yesterday for about half an hour, just reassuring and taking a client through the entire process, because she wants to come for laser hair removal, and I literally had to hold her hand and walk her through every step that we take with PPE, and making sure that our therapists are safe, as well as concerned about her safety. So I think that our clientele is a more mature clientele, so I think they take it a lot more seriously, and hence we've had those cancellations, because if they're the age of 60 plus, they're more aware.
Yeah, the ageism thing. the ageism thing. My mother's 90 and she she doesn't see why she should be at any more risk than me or, or my children, but there we go. With regard to capacity, are you taking time to clean the treatment rooms after every treatment? How does that work for you?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're doing deep cleaning before, deep cleaning after. Since the president made the announcement, with the lockdown again going into serious, with the pandemic being high, we are making sure that our clients don't even come with their shoes into our space. So we have slippers washed every day, and we have opted for them to even leave their shoes in front. We also promote that they leave as much as belongings as possible in the car. We also, the other thing what we've done, and we've pushed quite hardly so that consumers know, is that our therapists only wear surgical masks, and we change surgical masks all the time. So therapists can come into work with their own mask, but once they're at work, they're issued with a surgical mask and her visor, and obviously gloves per client, and that gets changed regularly. I find that helps. I think it helps with confidence of staff and consumers.
Okay, and how about you, Engela? Is there are you do deep cleaning, or are you what's your protocols for with the clients?
Sorry for you were breaking up there.
Was I breaking up? One of the tragedies of Zoom calls. With the after every treatment, do you clean the treatment rooms thoroughly? How do you operate? Do you just clean once a day, or how do you work it? Oh.
1 hour or 2 hours that there's nobody in there while we deep clean. We use foggers just to ensure that everything is cleaned afterwards.
Okay.
Yes, and then also with regards to PPEs, our therapists use surgical masks. Certain treatments, they use the visors, not with all the treatments. And then we encourage our clients also to wear their masks while they do some of their treatments. Although that, I must say, clients prefer not to wear their masks. We need to remind them, especially with, like I say, with some of the treatments, like the hand and foot treatments, we ask them to please keep their masks on.
Yeah, the masks thing is, it's not fun for anybody really, I don't think. And are your therapists, either of you, Ayesha or Engela, are they suffering from rashes on the face or reactions to the masks in some way?
Becoming a teenager, I'm getting acne all over again. I've gone from having, dry, dehydrated skin to oily skin because my visor keeps on steaming up on my forehead. So I must say it's been quite interesting. We've actually had to do training. Tanya, you might want to do this, and if anybody hasn't opened, is that we have your staff for a few training days. They work on each other, and they use those masks and visors for at least they build up to an hour to 2 hours.
Sure. Yeah. Engela, have you been helping your therapists with face mask issue? I think there's a word for it. I can't remember what it is now. Maskne or something, I believe, is the term been given to the face mask problems.
We've had some clients with that problem, especially with the cloth masks, but I find that with surgical masks being replaced quite often, it's not such a big problem than what it is with the cloth masks. So I also prefer surgical masks, especially for our therapists, and I encourage clients also to use surgical masks and to change it at least on a daily basis.
That might explain why my complexion is so good, because I only use surgical masks. You don't have to comment about my complexion. It's fine. Obviously, when you visit a normal salon or a hairstylist or what have you, you're not there for that long. But when you go to a spa, you're normally there for at least a few hours. How are you getting around the coffee and the tea and the refreshments restrictions? What are you doing there, Ayesha?
Well, we actually, unfortunately, our whole coffee station is closed. We've got a sign up. I know it's not nice, but should somebody request water or coffee or tea, we will obviously provide it for them. But in terms of helping yourself and coming in, and that's part of the experience, unfortunately, we've had to close that down.
Right. And is that the same with you, Engela?
Yes, we also serve tea and coffee and water, and then every client gets their little water bottle. And then with regards to meals, we usually make use of a delivery service and then let the clients choose what meals they want, or we have pre-prepared meals that is prepared in a facility that is allowed to deliver foods, because the rules with regards to serving foods in the spa area is very vague, it's very grey. Some spas do serve foods, others don't. So we're trying to sort of find our way to what is allowed and what is not good, but also at the same time making sure that we take every precautionary measure possible. Okay.
I mean, there does seem to be a lot of greyness in the regulations in some ways. I remember before salons were allowed to open, there was an awful lot of speculation and recommendations about PPEs and screens for this, that, and the other, and little tunnels that you could walk through to be totally fogged in your own personal space, etc. It sounded like a nightmare to me, I must confess. And then all of a sudden they released the gazetted rules, and they didn't seem, to me, they didn't seem half as bad as some people had expected. Had you all gone out and bought all sorts of things to prepare beforehand, or did you wait and see what was actually going to be required? Ayesha.
Jumped the gun, went and bought, we kicked out the spa like Fort Knox, because I think we needed to get communication out to clients that we would do that they would be safe. So everything from footless sanitizers to screens to defoggers to you name it, did all of that. We also did a pre-screening form that is online. We WhatsApp it to them before they come in. So they fill out questionnaires that we did so that we could screen them before they come. We send out a list of regulations in terms of what they should do before they come in. We prefer EFTs instead of credit card payments. And so we were quite detailed. And you are right, when the guidelines came up, there were some, then I think hairdressers had guidelines than salons. But we went ahead and communicated that anyway. And I think we hope that gain confidence as soon as we for people to come in.
Sure. Engela, what did you purchase tunnels for your clients to walk through, or did you wait for the Gazette?
Well, during lockdown, we were ventured into the PPE market because we also supply vitamins and minerals. So we were quite prepared to the T, and had our foot stands with the sanitizers, face shields, everything that you could think of. And I still find that even the regulations that they give out is quite vague. So I think every spa must just do what they can to keep the staff, their therapists and their clients safe.
Mm. And presumably, Tanya, you didn't actually have a shopping list that you worked on?
No, I do actually. We've got everything prepared, ready to go, so that when the button is hit, then we all good to go. We haven't completely purchased all the PPE yet, but we've got everything ready to go when we need to. The only thing that we did sort of purchase was we personally using UVC technology to sterilize the rooms post-treatment. So that was specialized equipment that we had to import from abroad. So that was sort of the key one that we invested in to have on site.
Okay, yeah. Presumably, Tanya, do you communicate with spas in other parts of the countries? I saw Peter was talking about spas in Cape Town. Do you know are you communicating with others to see how they're coping because they can't open and what they're doing?
Yeah, so the feedback I've been getting from a lot of the hotel groups is pretty much the same as we're doing. We kind of communicating with each other to sort of stay on par with one another. I know there has been, it's quite challenging because I know that there has been hotels, you know, even in Joburg that opened up restaurants and stuff and then had to close their restaurants down because of positive cases. So it's an open close sort of back and forth. So that has been a challenge. I think for us specifically, once the borders are open up, I'm interested to see, because everybody's got different rules all over the world, and we're so strict on the mask wearing, is trying to get the international guests to understand the importance of the mask wearing in the public spaces, because in essence in the hotel they'll only be able to remove their masks in the room and sort of seated at the table. In all the other public areas, they will have to wear their masks. So for me, I think that's going to be an interesting one to manage that, you know, expectation with the guests.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that actually, because you know, I communicate with the UK quite a lot, and it's not compulsory to wear a mask over there. Yeah. But it is, yeah, that's going to be a bit of a culture shock for some, no doubt. Hopefully Donald Trump isn't going to visit you anytime soon.
No.
I think we'd know about it if he was. What's happening with your staff, Tanya? Whilst I mean, because it's been a long time now. Are you keeping them on the payroll, or have they been laid off? What are you?
So I can't disclose too much information there, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's all right.
But our staff that we have, we keeping them busy in terms of focusing a lot on education. And from my point of view, I've spoken about this on previous panels, is educating them on the benefits of the immunity of having treatments, and focusing on mental health and learning about mental health from their perspective, so that when we do open, they will in essence become educators to the guests. So we're having to relook our customer journey a lot, and how our customer journey is going to be different once we open, because we need to open with a new norm and a new guest experience. So and still maintain the luxury that we're known for. So those are the biggest challenges. But yes, we've been keeping in communication with them. They have been attending several Zoom, and you know, our suppliers have really come to the party in terms of running seminars for them, etc., and keeping them motivated.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Ayesha, are you back to full complement with your staff, or are you still keeping some away?
We're back on full complement, but we're doing shift work. So we don't have an overlap of staff at the same time, because what we've done is I've tried to reduce the risk, because if there's a positive case on a certain section, then we at least can not have that staff come in and we can still operate, because that was one of our concerns, is what do we do if a staff member tests positive? And so we try to mitigate that. What I did find is that as you know, staff came in and they were rearing to go and were very excited to work. And then you have people cancel, and you have a lot of people say, sorry, I can't come in because my sister tested positive or whatever. And that it does demoralize the staff. So you've got to constantly motivate. And what Tanya is doing with those Zoom sessions, you've got to keep on constantly check in on their emotional well-being, because absolutely, if they're not emotionally ready, then it reflects in the experience of their guests.
Okay. Is that the same with you, Engela? Are you doing shift work, or are you at full capacity?
We are doing shift work, and I also find that some of our therapists is having challenges with regards to daycare with their children. So we are trying to accommodate them as much as possible, just to make life easier for them.
Okay. Sorry, something's gone wrong with my camera. Oh, there we go. I'm back. What I was wondering was also, are you charging more for treatments now because of all the PPE and the fact that you can't operate as efficiently as you used to, or have you kept prices the same, maybe even reduced them?
We've kept the prices the same, and we are adding on a COVID care charge. So we do add on an extra, a very nominal fee. And we obviously let guests know before they come in that we charge for COVID care and PPE to cover the PPE, and we've had no complaints thus far.
Okay, and same with you, Engela?
We're not doing an extra charge because we find that a lot of our clients are quite affected due to the current situation. So we're trying to be very competitive with our prices, and basically kept our prices the same without charging an extra fee. We are offering our clients the opportunity to bring all their own gear. So before they actually start, some of our clients prefer it. Before they start, we basically strip the salon quite bare after we've done a deep clean, and they bring their own towels, their own gowns, their own slippers. So that is keeping the costs for additional PPE for our clients down. And some clients prefer that. We find that they prefer to bring their own.
Okay. One of the nail salons that I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago was asking me about whether they needed to have a new nail file for each client, for instance. What they decided in the end was that they would make that part of the cost, that the client would pay for a nail file with each treatment, and then they could take it home with them and bring it back then for the next treatment or whatever. Is that something that you guys have been doing, or do you just absorb the cost of a nail file per client, or maybe not? I'm just wondering how you're working with that kind of thing.
For our facials, sorry.
No, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, go on, Engela. You go ahead.
Okay. For our facials, we include the sponges for them, which they can take home. And for manicures and pedicures, we've made up a little kit that we sell to them at a nominal charge, basically at our cost. So it's still cheaper for them to get that from us than what it would have been if they would have purchased it elsewhere. And they're quite excited about that. They like that, to get a little take-home parcel.
Okay, Ayesha?
Exactly the same like Engela. We've put in the
Yeah.
same process.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, all these things that you have to think about at this time. You know, I just think of, I still find it hard to believe sometimes, you know, 6 months ago, this was not an issue at all. And now we've had to think of all these things. We've got a couple of questions here. One is, what protocols are taken in a waxing session? For example, spatulas, pots, and rollers. Any thoughts on those, Engela?
Well, with regards to waxing, we do our waxing clients. Obviously, we use a couple of spatulas for every client, and also new spatulas, deep clean everything. We actually use smaller amount of waxes where we've got small wax spots to make sure that we don't use the same wax for a next client. So that's quite a bit of getting used to. Yes, but it can be done. It's fortunately, you know, in the spa and the salon industry, hygiene and sanitation is so part of it. So it makes it easier than I think, in a lot of other industries.
Yeah, yeah. Ayesha, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we change spatula per client, and then, you know, we wax is heat, so it does help. It does help kill a lot of stuff. So, you know, in terms of roller heads to change all the time, we haven't done that yet. We can't lie, but we have changed spatulas regularly, and obviously sanitized pots and things like that all the time.
Okay. And Joanne van Rensburg is asking about a charge for COVID, but you're at the moment not doing that. Joanna, hi Joanna, is asking, are any of you thinking of using spa shields that clip into beds during facials and act as a shield between the guest and the therapist? Ayesha, you're laughing away there.
Not possible, not possible at all. I'd rather use the visor and have my forehead steamed up. It is very do extractions even with the visor on. And then I've got to keep on also reminding myself and my therapist they can't bump their visors into their clients' heads and faces. So, you know, it comes with all sorts of challenges. And then to answer the before is no, we are charging a nominal fee. We've done just a 20 Rand of all invoices over 100 Rand. Anything under 100 Rand for PPE, but everything over 100 Rand is just 20 Rand standard charge.
Okay. Are you absorbing all this, Tanya, and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm never going to do bed shields?
Oh no, well, we, as I say, we're pretty much prepared for what we need to do. So we've completely outlined how this is all going to work. But, you know, as everybody else has said, we need to remember that our industry has been very much on the top end of sanitizing and being super cautious. You know, yes, we just need to take that extra little bit of precaution, but I think, you know, in general, we're quite aware of what we need to do. But there is that fine line of taking it overboard and affecting the experience completely. And I think Ayesha's right. It just would be very difficult to do a treatment like that.
Yeah. So Engela, what do you think is going to happen in the next 3 months? Do you think things will ease off and people will become used to the whole thing of social distancing, or even get more blasé about it, and as hopefully this curve disappears or reduces?
Well, we've definitely seen business picking up. It is August. Women's Month, and it's getting warmer. So fortunately, the worst part of COVID hit us in the winter when it is a quieter time. So I do feel that people is more, they are becoming more blasé about it, and getting used to, I would say, the new normal, using their masks, sanitizing. So I think it's going to, the extra precautionary measures is basically going to be here to stay for a long time. But I think that clients is getting used to going out and they're feeling more comfortable. So I'm very optimistic about the future, despite the situation that we are in regarding the corona and also the economic situation of people. There'll always be a space for pampering and personal care.
Okay. Ayesha, obviously you've been open the same amount of time as Engela. is it improving the number of clients you're getting through the door, or tailed off, and how do you think it's going to go?
I agree with Engela. The warmer it gets, our August is really booked with laser hair removal treatments. I think people, that have held off for as long as they can are now exploring to come in again. And I absolutely agree. When it's warmer and people have to put on sandals and they have to get their hair removed, I think it will be a mindset shift that it's here to stay, and we've got to get on with life. So I'm also positive that I'm hoping, I hope from the 1st of September, we're all in sandals. So I'm hoping that would be pushing our industry, propelling it a little bit forward in terms of clientele coming in.
Okay, and with you, Tanya, presumably, I would imagine that if the government is, well, who knows how to predict what the government's going to do, but presumably they will allow domestic tourism before people flying in from Europe or where have you. And that presumably that's when you'll be open. And are you hopeful then that it'll go with a bang and off you go?
Yes, I am. I think, our challenge is that, the longer we stay open, the client expectation is also quite high. So for us, it's very much about focusing around giving the guest the best possible experience, because we are on the upper end and we do charge higher rates. So it's still maintaining that luxury experience with the safety measures in place. So we've thought it out in a lot of detail, and a lot of planning is going into this and making sure that we are able to offer that luxury experience that we know that our brand is known for.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty much feel that I've interrogated you all enough this morning, but is there one little thing I'm going to ask each of you in turn, even though you're not yet open, Tanya, but Ayesha, is there one thing that you've learned since you've reopened that has been really important, something that was of real value that has helped in where you've been going?
Space is now becoming, we knew it was a space that's very nurturing, and we know that it's a space that clients feel safe. But I feel that if you are not open yet, Tanya, and for those who have opened, you actually have to brace yourself for the emotional offloading that clients actually have in our space, especially during this time. Because I think the pandemic being as high as it is, everybody now knows somebody who's affected, everybody has personally been affected by it in some way or the other. And so you just have to prepare your therapist and yourself to be able to, take all those emotions on and then release it. So it's not held with.
Okay, cool. Engela, what's the one important thing that you think that you've learned since you've been open?
Well, we've made our motto, people don't care what you know until they know they care. And we've really, really gone out of our way we're busy contacting all our clients and finding out if they're okay, extending a hand and an ear, just to let them know that we offer them, same staff members. And we've also started to reach out to other spots in our vicinity to say that now we take each other's hands with regards to other spots and also staff members. It's really to care for us and to connect. It sounds funny to say, we need to connect while social distancing, but it is true. We need to really connect and assist each other. So that's my message that I would say is reach out and reach out for help, and also reach out to help others.
Okay, and Tanya, obviously you're not open, but is there something that you've learned along the way which you think is a good nugget?
Something that I'd like to share that's actually coming out of the tourism sort of webinars and seminars is that we need to all remember that once borders open or there is more availability to travel, and the first experience is going to be a very emotional experience for the guests. So our staff have to be very much aware of that and how to deal with that. And I know personally, I miss my staff terribly, and just the interaction with our guests as well. So, and you know, for me, it's already an emotional experience. So, you know, I agree 100% with Ayesha. We need to be very conscious of that moving forward.
Cool. Okay.
One last thing, and what I've learned about this is that you have to be adaptable. You can't think that you implement marketing or promotional campaign. You can't think like before where you're going to stick through it for a month. You have to be very adaptable at this moment to see where your client's at, where the pandemic is at, and what are your high risk stuff, and you know, adjust your business model constantly, weekly, just to be able to get through this time until we get to some sort of normality.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. It's been very interesting chatting to you, and I do hope that our audience has had some benefit. There's a few thank yous coming through, so that's nice. Do say bye-bye, people, on the chat if you wish. In the meantime, I do hope, Tanya, that they lift the ban on consumer occupancy for the hotels, because if they do, it might help us in the events industry as well. Because I'm a bit selfish there now. Yeah, well done. Thank you all for joining us, and we will no doubt chat again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Bye.